Despite what their moms told them, they just aren't talented enough for radio. Unfortunately, anyone can have a show these days. Sean.
Well, I'm pretty hard to figure out sometimes. In fact, I can't even figure myself out sometimes, so don't you try to.
Joe.
You're an idiot and really a disloyal person.
This is the Cuse Militia. Now, those two unapologetically biased orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
It's the most bullshit thing I've seen in 30 years.
Welcome, orange men and ladies. Happy Sunday. This is the Cuse Militia with Sean and Joe. At Cuse Militia on the socials. Go there. Join the militia live on X Spaces. Probably today at some point, maybe. The Orange with the 4th win in a row. The 20th win of the season for the Orange. And after Notre Dame beat Clemson and Virginia Tech beat Wake Forest, that put Syracuse in 4th place in the ACC standings for right now. And we'll see what happens on Tuesday. But pretty exciting jump. I don't know what that means for ACC tournament hopes as a whole. It doesn't seem like it would bode well, but I guess who cares? If Syracuse is in 4th, I mean, that's my priority. So, I mean,
right.
I'm not that worried about it. But anyway, I got a little montage we'll put together, and we'll talk about the game a little bit. And Syracuse is going into Clemson on Tuesday at 7 o'clock. And Clemson just lost against some scrubs. So that sucks. That always worries me. So anyway, and it's senior night there and all that. I don't know how many they got, but I guess Joe Girard's going to walk. So anyway, This is the last year. This is the last COVID year, correct? Or is there still one more year of this COVID year stuff?
I'm sure that there's probably one more. Who knows?
Are you sure? I feel like this should be
No,
it.
I'm not. I just don't know if it's ever going to be over. It'll probably go right into the next Disease X shutdown.
Yeah, well, I mean, okay. Well, we'll see what happens, I guess. I wanted to be very sure about what I was saying, and then I walked it back because if my math is right, it's been 4 years, but I don't know when they implemented that rule. So,
yeah,
right? Can you believe it's been 4 years, dude? 2020.
4 years ago, 4 years ago was when they shut it down. They
shut it down,
and then that season, right? But
yeah. So it should be technically. This should be the last year, or is it next year? I don't know. We'll probably never know. I don't know. So, all right. Well, look, quick montage from Coach after the win. Let's hear what he had to say.
But I thought, today, again, I was happy with our both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively. When you have, 6 guys in double figures, that means the ball was being moved around and shared. So offensively, I was pleased with that. I thought defensively, playing the zone, which we haven't done a lot this year, we did a better job. I know we played them zone the first time. I thought this time around we did a better job of locating their shooters, making them take some tough shots. Again, and we battled on the glass. I know the first time they out-rebounded us by 20. Thought we did a really good job of hanging in there and battling on the glass. In particular, I thought this was Chris Bell's best game in a uniform. He made some huge plays, 7 rebounds, 3 blocks. He made some big-time blocks. I was really happy for him because that's what we've been talking about. We need him to get in there and rebound, and tonight he did that. Justin Taylor, continually just progression, getting better and better, getting back to his old self. I was happy that he was able to come in and provide a spark for us and really make some big free throws when we needed it. I just thought he was really good. Judah Mintz just stepped up when we needed him to step up like he's done all year. He's a guy that just kind of, he's there. He's one of the most consistent players in our league and in college basketball. A guy that you can depend on every game. I thought JJ came back and gave us some big minutes late in the game. Had a couple of good defense possessions, and Malik, warrior, just a warrior. So I was proud of these guys. Obviously, I think we could have folded down the end, and we didn't. I think our last couple of games have prepared us for this. And I know everyone talks about you get these leads, you lose these leads, but that happens. That happens in college basketball. I think you got to learn how to win it, and I think we're learning how to win these games if we have won these games.
Adrian, it was about a month ago was the game down at Wake Forest. We all know what happened there, right? But since then, 6 wins in 8 games, despite losing Benny, despite not having Peter for 5 of them. Can you just talk about what this team has gone through and how they've gotten to the point where you're at right now, 20 wins?
I think these guys are, a close bunch. I think they're a competitive group. They want to win. I think they just have stayed together. I give them, the credit. They have not let anything come between them. We've had some losses that sometimes teams don't get back from those. But this group is resilient. They're tough. They believe in each other. They have the ultimate confidence, and we have confidence in them as a staff as well. But I think the biggest thing is that they just stayed the course and kept, rolling up their sleeves, coming in, and working every day.
All right, Chris Bell. Okay, he scores 23 points, and only 9 of them come from behind the arc, which is amazing, right?
Yeah,
tremendous job for him. Haven't seen that. A high 7 rebounds for him, and enough can't be said about that. And Quadier was amazing in his 11 minutes that he was out there. It only took 11 minutes for him to foul out. I mean, some ticky-tack stuff there. It is what it is. I would have loved to have had him out there a little bit longer. Seemed like Syracuse was in foul trouble kind of early. Starling got hit early with a couple. And
a few guys.
Yeah. Judah with the tee. I don't think Judah knew who was grabbing the ball, by the way. He wasn't even looking. He just felt someone grabbing the ball, and he jerked it away. But
right.
Heat of the moment thing. But okay, whatever. But to Coach's point, Justin Taylor, he was very Malik-esque out there after the ball, very poking the ball away. There was a couple he poked away that we didn't get, but forced a couple turnovers back to back. And he did hit some clutch free throws down the stretch after he missed 2 in a row at the line previously. So
he was 1 for 4 at one point.
Yeah, so it was bad, but he closed out well and did everything that he needed to do to help this team eventually pull the win off. And 25 for 39 from the line. They shot 39 free throws last night. 25 for 39 is not good. They could have put this team away so much easier if you eliminate the cute stuff and the dumb turnovers, which 14's a lot, I feel like, for Syracuse, especially against this team. And thank God Louisville can't hit the broadside of a barn, because at one point they just couldn't make anything. There was some offensive runs for both teams, but in some droughts. But I think all in all, Syracuse hits more of those free throws, and this game's put away long before it was. But I'm really happy with Justin Taylor. He's responded very well to the criticism, and we've criticized his play here, and obviously fan feedback has been chock full of it. And Coach went on his rant post-game presser a few games back, and I guess for a player to know that the coach has got your back like that, I mean, it just is more motivation. And Justin Taylor is, if he works as hard as coach says he does, then I mean, we're seeing it. I mean, he did an awesome job last night. Besides missing some of those free throws, he did an awesome job. 5 rebounds, a couple clutch rebounds, some steals. Both those steals they were back to back, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Both led to dunks.
Yep.
Really good. I mean, I was really happy. That's where, I mean, if I'm going to take one thing from this game, it was Justin Taylor. I thought he was great.
Yeah, and I think that, again, we talked about it last episode, and Coach Red has talked about it as well, about getting him and getting his confidence back up by doing different things. I think a lot of people just saw him as a big, good outside shooter. So it was that's all we spoke about it this year. If Justin Taylor, he's not hitting from the outside because that's what they bring him in for, then we got to get him out of there, right? Get Quadir in there. But he's finding different ways to help the team. And to your point, it looks, according to ESPN, he played 40 minutes. I thought that he sat for at least one or two, but maybe he went right back in after something happened. I don't know. But yeah, he hits, he goes 8 of 11, 9 of 11 from the free throw line. Then you're talking about, pretty much a solid game from him. It's just, the free throw shooting's got to get a little bit better, I think. Like you said, 25 of 39. But overall, just, everybody scored. Everybody that started scored in double digits. And like to your point, if you would have told me Chris Bell would have had 23 points, then I would have assumed that he would have made 6 or 7 3-pointers.
Right.
But
exactly.
He made he was only made 3 of 5, and kudos to those guys. We only shot 8 3-pointers, made 5 of them, so we still shot a 62.5% rate. But obviously, we had some matchup situations that we thought we could go to the rim, and we were getting the calls. Obviously, going to the free throw line 39 times, so. That all bodes pretty well for the offense, moving forward. Still shot almost 58% from twos. So, it's just we gave up, I think we gave up a couple easy baskets down low, obviously. We still lost a rebound battle, and I think that playing man a little early allowed them to kind of stay with us when we finally went to the 2-3 zone, other than just when we turned the ball over or we gave up a wide open 3. It was pretty good for the most part. Louisville's not a great 3-point shooting team.
No, they're not a great shooting team.
Right. So,
yeah, but they were hucking them up, dude. They were trying, and
4-19,
yeah, thankfully 21%. And I'll take it. Like I said, this is a whole different ballgame in every respect if Syracuse, if Louisville could make a shot. Thankfully it was Louisville, I guess.
Yeah.
What was the lead up to like 19 at one point, and just through.
Was it?
Yes, it was.
Oh, thought it was like 15.
No, it got up to 19. I'm almost positive. Because I always look for that 20 mark. That's where I can sit down and chill.
It was 19.
But with that said, another game, and Coach alluded to, it's going to happen. It's a game of runs. Basketball is a game of runs. It's a game of momentum. And, it's how you finish. And like we've said all year, Syracuse wasn't pulling these games off last year when they were this tight towards the end, especially after leading. And, we could go back, talk about Pitt twice, and was it Miami twice and Pitt once? I don't know. But there was a few of them that were really bad, and we were way ahead. So anyways, really, really happy with this team, the way this team finishes. They've been able to do it all year. When they've lost big time. Go big or go home, I guess. But, 20-win season. We are on the cusp of being able to get a 2-round bye for this ACC tournament. And even, we have one game left in Clemson. Clemson still got to play Wake Forest, too.
Yeah.
So, even if they beat us, if they can't beat Wake Forest, then we're likely going to finish 4th. They kind of control most of that. We control it on Tuesday 100%. But they control that. We're not going to drop past Pitt. So that's that. We're going to either finish 5th or 4th.
I think we can still finish 6th.
I don't think we can. Let's take a look. Let's take a look real quick. You've got Syracuse got 1 game left.
Yeah.
And Pitt, how many games does Pitt have left? We need to know that.
2.
2. Okay. So if Syracuse loses. Yeah, if Pitt wins out, they could. You're right. Yep. Who are they playing?
Well, yeah, not only that, but, Clemson still has, Pittsburgh's got Florida State and North Carolina State at home. So they could very well.
Yeah, that's possible. It's possible.
So if we lose, then we could fall still back as well.
If you're
seventh.
If you're fifth, well, I guess you want to be in sixth, huh? To get a first round bye.
I mean, I guess it makes sense that Clemson and Wake Forest, neither of those teams, they can't go 12-8.
One of them can, one of them can't.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, we just got to win, control our own destiny. If we win, then we can get the tiebreaker from. Well, we wouldn't need to worry about the tiebreaker from Clemson, and we'd have the tiebreaker from Pittsburgh. And the only thing we'd have to worry about is if Wake Forest sweeps and they go 12-8, then they would pass us to fourth, and we'd be fifth because they have the tiebreaker. So.
Right. So, anyways, let's head over to Twitter, shall we? I think so. Okay, let's see. Dominic, our buddy Dom, going over to Twitter. This is a fun but sometimes frustrating team to watch. That being said, 20-10, I'll take that anytime. Absolutely. Too scared to think, says at EJ62564. And I love this one, Joe, because this always creates some decent conversation. And, we've been talking about it a lot lately. From at David Super. Nice win, however. If I know anything about the net, we'll probably drop 35 to 40 spots. Maybe another 5 on Monday morning or another 5 on Tuesday morning. When we take the court at Clemson on Tuesday, we'll be around 130. So that's a big game and must win, baby. Let's go. Look, he's not wrong, because we dropped 2 spots and in the net last night because we didn't beat him enough. We didn't whoop on him enough. Therefore, you dropped 2 spots, even though it's a conference game at home, or a conference game on the road for Syracuse, and they win. They just didn't win by enough. Therefore, you dropped 2 spots in the net from 82nd to 84th, right? So, I don't think you should ever drop in the net if you win on the road in conference play. I just think that's dumb. And I know Louisville's not a great team, but I still think that that's stupid. So,
yeah, I mean, I think so too, because again, I mean, the basketball, it's just, some days you're just not hitting, right? And it's also just, like you said, a game of runs. It's the game of emotions. Sometimes, especially early on in the season when you're trying to figure things out, you can get into a game where you just feel overmatched. You're never really getting in the groove. You're not playing well, and then you get in your feelings about it, and the team just blows you out. I mean, when you look at, even Virginia earlier this year, but when we went to the Maui Invitational, Gonzaga and Tennessee, they were more experienced and just at a higher level at that point, which Tennessee's still in a higher level, but to go in there and blow us out, I mean, just the net ranking to me, I don't know if you stayed up and watched the ACC network little post game special or whatever. Yeah, last night, the Nothing But Net or whatever. You had Boeheim in there with Boozer and all those guys. And a lot of those guys were talking about how Syracuse passes the eye test. They're playing good as of late. They're not the same team that they were earlier in the year. And I forget exactly who brought it up, but they talked about how the net kind of goes again, because as you get farther into the season, it's harder to move up, and it doesn't really put into effect or account teams getting better. With and we spoke about this last week too, with all the transfers and all the movement and basically the college free agency, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you can you'd struggle early in the year. And when I say struggle, I mean, what we lost 3 games in the first, 15 or something like that, or because they were against good teams, so we could say that we got beat pretty good by, some of those teams, but we also, I mean, we went and we beat, Georgetown at Georgetown by 12. We beat LSU by 23. We beat Oregon in a neutral court by, 17 or something like that. So, we still did some good things, and we only lost 2 games, and we didn't pad our non-conference. We only had 4 quad 4 wins. We played against decent teams like Cornell and Colgate, who are right there in the chance to win their conference. Colgate's been dominating their conference. So it's like you have a 82nd strength of schedule non-conference, and you do what you do, and then on top of that, you're 4th right now in your conference. So, I just don't understand how this whole thing works. Because we didn't play a bad non-conference. We didn't have a bad, what were we, 9-2 non-conference. That's not awful. And we're 11-8 currently in the conference, which is, we're the 4th best in the ACC as far as our schedule is concerned. So I just don't understand.
We started so far back. We talked about it, but we started so far back. It's just so difficult to climb your way, and that's based off predictions. Ken Pom had us winning 9 games, and here we are at 20. It's just.
Well, and that's why we're not past the NC State in the Pittsburgh,
right?
Because they started ahead of us,
right? Yeah, and we beat Pitt twice. It makes no sense to even be behind
NC State twice.
Yeah, so, we could do the show over again, but I feel like if you didn't if you didn't listen, and the gentlemen are in their spaces right now, but if you didn't listen to the show, Wednesday, the last show we did about the net. It really is. Nadal and Luke both did a great job explaining it, and we're going to disagree with the way it's done and the way it starts, and I think Joe has probably got the better idea in not placing anybody anywhere in the net until after non-conference is done. Doesn't that at least give you a better gauge of what the team actually is, and instead of just guessing before a ball's thrown in the air? Before any kind of tip-off is done, you've slated this thing based off of what? Based off of your favorites? You know what I'm saying?
That's the way that I look at it, right? The way that I would try to do it is, you can have your preseason ranking, right?
Sure.
You can have, as the NCAA, you could think you know what it is, right? But let it play out in the non-conference, then reseed based upon what you see, right? And then start the net there with the conference play. Because, that's where the non-conference just skews this whole thing, and just looking... we talked about the Big 12. That's one thing, right? But even looking at, a New Mexico team, they're 28th in the net in the Mountain West, and the Mountain West is a little bit better. They're 20-8 overall, okay, but they're 2-5 with quad 1 wins, and they are 8-1 in quad 4, but they're in the last 4 in, and I'm sitting here looking at it like they have double the quad 4 wins than we do, plus they have a quad 4 loss. So to me right there, I'm sorry, but that puts us above them. They had a way easier way of getting to 20 wins. The other thing too is it doesn't give you any there's no reward for going out and playing tough teams anymore.
You mean non-conference?
Yeah, non-conference. At the end of the day, don't even try to go to the Maui Invitational. Oh yeah, it's cool. We have a preseason tournament.
Hey,
Kids
get to go to Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great, right? But what could go wrong? Oh, well, you could get killed by 2 good teams. All right.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, now that forces you to play Chaminade, which is not a Division I team, which means when you look at the net rankings, we still have 1 less loss than everyone else. And you also got to understand that we're down a game because we went to that tournament. Yeah. In the beginning, it looked great. In the beginning of the season, it was like, it gives us a chance to get a good win. But if you didn't get a good win, we had to win one of those first 2 games. And now I think that it did actually more harm than it did good for us.
Looking back on it, but we talked, we're like, look, okay, you've got a good chance you've got a chance to play a good team, and that's not going to hurt. And, maybe you pull one of these off. And, you see where we're at, but it's not going to hurt. But yeah, you play Chaminade, and now you're down a game, like you said. And I never even really thought about it like that. I knew that it didn't count into this, but yeah, that's probably another negative against Syracuse. They just don't have that other game, and wasn't a whole lot we could have done, really. I mean, you have to beat Tennessee or Gonzaga to not have to play them. You know what I mean? It's like we were put in a bad spot in that tournament. I mean, it looked great on paper going there and being able to play some tough teams and pad that non-conference schedule and make it look like, we're not scheduling a bunch of cupcakes. But at the end of the day, like you said, in hindsight, I mean, I'd have stayed in Syracuse.
Right. Well, I mean, because at that point, right, early in the season, you're thinking to yourself, like, it's not going to hurt us two tournament teams, right? So that's going to help our non-conference strength schedule, and that could help us get into the tournament later on. When obviously scheduling that didn't help in the net rankings whatsoever, because like I said, we're down one less game, and this really doesn't help with the non-conference, and I think the other thing that really kind of, when I was thinking about it yesterday, and then when I saw this net ranking thing today, I'm like, to me, this net ranking thing is more, it more goes toward like a gambling mentality, like a gambler's mentality almost, right? Because when you start talking about, like when you gamble on a team, right? And you got Syracuse I'm sure they were favored in that game. Let's say they were favored to win by 10 points. You pick Syracuse. They only win by 7.
Yeah.
Or 5 or 6, right? As a gambler, you're going to be upset. But as a Syracuse fan or a fan of another school that you want to see Syracuse win because it might help you, you don't care if they win by half a point, like you said, right?
Yeah, who cares?
As long as you get the W. So now you're talking about this. So we have a metric and a tool where basically it counts as what? Like, how do you go about this? This is essentially some type of metric that tells you how much you're supposed to win your game by, and if you don't, then
you're penalized for
anywhere.
It. Yeah.
This isn't Vegas. Like, you play the game,
but it is.
And you win.
You just hit the nail on the head. Like, subconsciously, it is though. You're right. It basically is Vegas. So,
right.
Everything's
Vegas
treated
without lines.
Yeah.
You don't even know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, to pull off a win on the road, I don't give a shit by how much. Like, obviously,
in conference on the road.
Okay, maybe a scrub team in non-conference. Early in the season, maybe you drop 2, but a conference game on the road. I mean, just because there was 20 people there, that's not our fault. We shouldn't be penalized because nobody showed up to their game because they stink. I mean, it's a lot of things in there that was explained to us by our net nerds the other day that I think brought a lot of things out that just don't make sense. I never even thought about some of that stuff about win discrepancy and all of that stuff. It just is. It's too bad. And it's not to say, but here's the thing. Here was the thing with the net. And I'm done. We need to move on. We got other stuff to do. The thing with the net was, and how it was advertised to us to an extent, was that this was going to be a gauge where we were going to be able to look at this and determine what the field should look like. And it's not. So what is it for? Is it just for fun, or is it Vegas? Like you said, Joe. Which is one and the same. But I'm just saying, like, why do we use it then? If it's not going to give us a legit picture of what the field of 68 looks like, then why are we even talking about it? I can't wait to see when this is done, where everybody ends up in the net, and who does not make it in and who does make it in. Because you're going to have teams outside of 70, 80 that are going to make it in, and there's going to be teams up there New Mexico in the 20s, 28, who should not make it in. I mean, based off of that resume and looking at that, they should not make it in. Okay, I mean, I don't know who they played, but they played 9 quad 4 games.
The problem is the Mountain West kind of did the same thing the Big 12 did. I don't think as I don't think as egregious, but the Mountain West are talking about getting more teams in than the ACC. So because, again, they had good non-conferences, they had good net rankings, so they beat up on each other. They had more opportunities to get quad one wins, and yeah.
At Oil Cuse, dude, if we lost this game, I was going to break a lot of shit around the house. Also, mince is good. Yes, break a lot of stuff around the house. Just don't touch the bourbon bottles, and you'll be good. Let's see. Let's just keep going down the line here. What the hell is this? Normal is where? A win is a win. But we'll need a lot better to beat Clemson, and we'll need to beat Clemson for any real shot at the tournament. I think that this, like I was telling my wife last night, she's like, why do they play these scrub teams like this? And I'm like, it's just how they do it. It's just how they do it. I mean, they might go shock everybody and go beat Clemson. I mean, They play down to their competition, but they've been playing up to their competition there. They have, right? Sometimes they've fallen short plenty of times this year. But, we do need to be better than that. They're not winning this game by those metrics if Louisville doesn't suck so bad. They wouldn't have won, especially on the road like that. A couple things they had going for them is that, the crowd wasn't very enamored and they weren't very excited, and I mean, that helps. And they stink.
Yeah, I mean,
they kind of stink, dude.
Yeah.
They're rebuilding.
I mean, they're not good. I mean, they're rebuilding, and there's
new coach,
a lot of
right?
Fans, talking about the coach, and they want a new coach and stuff like that. But
didn't they just get that coach?
I don't know if he was interim, or I don't know what the deal was, but I just know that there's certain teams that they give us trouble. Teams with size, go on the road, they give us trouble.
Yeah,
it is what it is. I mean, Georgia Tech, that's why we lost to them. Boston College, why we lost to them. And again, back to your point. Winning on the road is not easy, especially in conference.
Yeah. So, over at orangehoops.org, Kenny Payne is new this year, and I don't know who he is or where he's from, but he's only been there this year. So anyway, who knows what happens with them next year? But Louisville's a team that they're one of those schools, I should say, not team, but they're one of those schools that they could go into the transfer portal. If they got a good coach, they can go to the transfer portal or whatever. They can recruit. They have all of the tools. That school has all the tools to turn this thing around next year. You saw what they did with the football program. Remember a couple years ago, we just spanked them in the Dome, and then where they from that point to where they are now, I mean, pretty good. It's only been a couple years, so it takes a long time to turn a football program around. They did it in a couple years. So,
yep.
Anyway,
coaching.
Yeah. Let's keep going here. Let's see. At Saltine Warrior, 4 undisciplined teams shows again with blown leads. Has happened all year. And the reason is we are on the outside looking in. That being said, playing our best ball at the time right now. Just win, baby. Yeah, I mean, blowing leads is one thing. If you lose, it's however, if you're not losing, then it's okay. I mean, it sucks blowing a lead, but again, hold on, Joe. Joe was lost. There we go. We got Joe back. Thank God. Thank God Joe's back.
Yo,
video. What were you saying? There he is.
I was just saying that I've never been along the lines of really that being a big metric as far as your differential of winning. I mean, I can understand it in certain sports, But this is a field of 68. You should be able to look at the teams and look at people's records and what conferences they're in, and they should be able to figure it out. If you're talking about having to pick four teams for a college football playoff, and you want to bring in point differential near the end because it's a very slim margin, then I can understand that. But having a metric in college basketball where your point differential is that big of a deal in the net, I don't know. I just look at wins and losses, and I don't get it. Like, some things just don't. I don't like this NC State North Carolina thing. They just played yesterday. NC State, kept it close. I know that it's in-state rivalry and everything, but they lost by 9 and they didn't move in the net. So, but then we go on the road and we win by 6, and I look at it like,
I guess,
okay, I can understand if NC State, if they don't move that, but if they don't move, they stay the same place. Okay, yeah, it's because you played a tough team on the road. But if you win, you shouldn't be going backwards.
David in the space is more frustrating. The net or Joe's texting habits? I got to say, it's the net. Believe it or not, as bad as Joe's texting habits are, it's got to be the net. And it's not so much a habit, and I think I did use that word. It's not so much a habit. It's just that when you send a joke to Joe via text, and then you get 20 questions about the joke, it's no longer a joke. Now it becomes, a
task.
It's like not funny anymore. No, you just ruined it. It's not funny anymore. It's not just a task, but it's like a text. Like, you send a text to not have to, go into detail about too much. It's just a quick thing. It's a meme. It's a meme.
That's the problem with text. Text has no context.
Yes, it does.
And if it's not,
yes, it does. Joe sends me.
Not a great joke.
Look.
If it's not a great joke.
Oh boy, this guy sends me a joke.
Dude, I just sent you.
And then I made a comment. Huh?
A picture? It was a meme of somebody.
It was the one. It was the one, and it was really good. It was good. I think it was from Barstool Cuse. Right?
I sent it to you. Why don't you show him?
I know. Well, let's see.
Maybe you can explain this whole thing. So my whole thing is, if it's a good enough joke, then I'd get it, and then you'd get the props for your joke. But
see if I can fit all this on here. Okay. It's got the ACC teams all broke down into basically
goofy tiers,
categories, right? And it's not all gonna fit on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. So I don't know how to get that to fit because I can't scroll on it. But the first one's North Carolina. It says Final Four caliber. The second two are Clemson and Wake Forest, and they're together, and it says could make a run. And then Virginia says defense, and then Syracuse is pretty good and pretty bad. Which is great, which is perfect, right? Yeah, and then you've got Pitt and NC State got swept by Syracuse. Okay, and then you got Florida State, Boston College, Virginia Tech. Can ruin your season, right? Exactly. Yeah. And then Miami, you got injured, and then Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, not great but fun at times. And then you've got Louisville, which all it says is pain, and then and then Duke's last. Busy arresting court stormers. So I thought that was funny. It was really funny. But yeah. Anyways. David pulls us down roads sometimes. He's got a knack for that.
What was the joke that you said?
Well,
however long later.
Was a minute later. Oh well, maybe not, because you sent it when you. And by the way, if you send me a DM on Twitter, I don't get Twitter notifications because I don't care that much. But I do check if I got messages. Maybe once, twice a day. So anyway. I hadn't checked. Joe had to tip me off on, hey man, go check. I sent you some stuff, because one of them was that the net thing.
Yeah, I sent you a couple things
from Stephen Van Pelt. Yeah, so Scott Van Pelt. And so anyway, we are. I said, did they really try to arrest this?
No, you said, did somebody get arrested?
Yeah, well,
this was hours after I sent to you, so I was done thinking about it. So then all of a sudden I'm like, what? Yeah, I thought you like sent a text to a wrong person because I'm like, is something going down? I like looked outside to see if there's cops. I didn't know what was going on.
There's cops on your dirt road. You'll know it. Okay. Anyway, what do you got on Facebook? I could continue on Twitter, but I've got a couple more here. But what do you got? Anything? He doesn't even have it up.
No, I have it up. Top fan Michael DeLello. I think he's got a couple. Yeah, he does. So I'll just kind of throw it all in as one. As long as we avoid Virginia and Duke in the ACC tournament, we'll be okay. And then he says 3 charges called in this game. I can't remember.
I'll take Virginia.
Yeah, I think so too. But I just think that it's traditionally,
Yeah, Virginia's they're not as like I said last episode. I think they're getting worse. I think they are getting worse.
Well, and last episode I said that I would rather. I mean, wouldn't mind getting another shot at them.
Yeah, absolutely. Go on. I'm sorry.
3 charges called in this game. I can't remember the last charge called in one of our games this year. Anyways, 4th in the ACC, 9th in the ACC net, 82nd in the net, and then he gave a middle finger emoji to the net, and then said, and then he probably this morning, and we dropped 2 more spots in the net this morning. So, yeah. Doesn't make sense, man.
No, it's frustrating, and I mean, I get it. That's how it works. I just think it's dumb. What are you going to do?
100%.
Okay, you got another one? Go on.
Yeah, I mean, it's Owen and Hollis. I mean, both kind of similar, but, solid win. They make me nervous like any Cuse team, but they're starting to show a lot more composure at the end of the game and not let it get out of their reach. Let's close out the season with a win against Clemson. Go Cuse. And Hollis, the other comment. This team is tough, and they're definitely battle-tested. If they get in the dance, they'll be dangerous depending on the matchups. Keep digging, boys. So just, a couple different comments, just kind of, saying the same thing that, validating that other fans are seeing that this team, they are battle-tested and they are a lot more composed at the end of games. And even when they get out to big leads, or if other teams get out to big leads, and then they come back or vice versa, they just show the composure to win some of these close games. Yeah, there's a couple, like at Boston College and at Georgia Tech, I would have liked to see a little bit better, obviously endings and finishes, but I mean, you're always going to have a couple that there's always going to be.
Yeah, but how many really are there?
Show me a bubble team that didn't lose to somebody that isn't going to be in the tournament.
Yeah, and I just don't think there's that many where we were like, man, I'd really love to have that one back, other than Georgia Tech. Did you say Georgia Tech in Boston College? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because they were both 5-point games, but they were both on the road.
Yeah, you can throw. I mean, Virginia, like you said, and the other ones are all legit. I mean, maybe not Florida State, but
yeah,
it's not like last year though, where you're looking down the whole slate and you're like, oh well, man, we could have had that. Like we're looking all the way back to non-conference stuff, going, oh well, Bryant. That game's going to come back to haunt us. Colgate, that game's going to come back to haunt us. Like that's Pittsburgh, none of that this year. Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean that's the one thing is that you got a couple conference games, and I think everybody loses a couple conference games to teams that you probably are better than. But at the end of the day, like you said, last couple years, you could have pointed to 6-7 games that's the reason why we're not going to make the tournament. That's the reason why we're not going to make the tournament. And now this year, when you're looking at it, I mean, okay, a loss at home to Florida State when we only lost 2 games at home. We're still 4th in the ACC. Like, that's going to be the game. That's going to be the game that kicks us out, or a road loss to like a decent Boston College team, right? That's going to be the one. This doesn't make sense to me.
No, it doesn't. We'll see. I think Tuesday is going to be huge, and then the tournament. I mean, historically, Syracuse has done piss poor in the ACC tournament. They've won 2 ACC tournament games, right? 3? Syracuse. Syracuse.
Oh, yeah, I mean, traditionally, yeah, they're not great in the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, they've won like 3 ACC tournament games.
I know in the beginning it was kind of bad. I think that recently we've gotten a little bit better. That COVID, when COVID came and erased the season, we beat North Carolina.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. And then you talk about a couple years ago. I mean, who knows? Buddy Boeheim doesn't. Well, no, it was last year, right?
Yeah.
Buddy Boeheim.
No, it was the year before.
Oh, the year before, yeah, a couple years ago. He doesn't elbow that dude from Florida State, and he gets to play in that Duke game. I mean, you don't know what happens there.
Jimmy scored like 36 points in that game. I mean, I don't know. Does Jimmy play like that? I mean, he was determined. Like I almost think that we played better because of what had happened. Like it gave us a legit shot. I think we don't know, right? So it's one of those things. But Jimmy went off in that game.
Last year we were primed to win, buzzer beater of Wake Forest. I mean,
yeah, that was.
I mean, I think that we're getting a little bit better as far as that goes, and I think that how we've been playing at the end of the year and where we are as far as in the rankings. As far as I think that's I don't know how many years back we can go before we're what. When was the last time that we were have we ever gotten a double bye?
No, I don't believe so.
Maybe the first year we were in with Tyler Ennis?
I don't think so. I don't remember a double bye. We have to go all the way back to
25-0.
Yeah, but we had to go all the way back to 2014. I mean, it wouldn't be hard to look it up. Spaces, Dave. More likely to change and get better. The net, Joe's texting habits, are standing and clapping. That's tough. That's
more
tough.
Likely to change and get better.
Hold. The net ain't getting better. The net is the net. It ain't getting better. It's either
more likely to change.
It's either you scratch it and rebuild it, or it stays the way it is, and it's gonna still suck. Or not or. That's it. Those are your choices. And then Joe will never.
This is tough, man.
His reading comprehension is too subpar. Admittedly.
Oh, dude, I said it wasn't my strong suit. You know what I mean? But when I got someone who texts me who uses 0 punctuation.
Oh, that's not true at all. I'm awesome with punctuation. Don't go there with me. You're full of shit.
I mean, dude, that's a tough question, Dave, because that's literally asking.
The standing and clapping's going nowhere. The net's going nowhere.
Dude,
the only one that we have a legit shot at is Joe's texting. That's it.
And I don't even know, dude. I mean, you're literally saying who's more stubborn, the NCAA, me, or our fans? So, yeah, I mean, it might be me. If you harass me.
Yeah.
If you harass me enough, then maybe I'll stop texting altogether, and then that would be changing, right?
I don't know if that young grasshopper. I don't know. I don't know if you not texting changes much at all, actually. So, anyway.
I mean, it would be a change in my habits.
True. Let's see. Let's just call him Robert. What the hell? Let's just go with that.
I'm guessing that's his name, so I'm sure that's fine.
Yeah, well, the handle, everybody has their handle, and
I got you.
RL Scarborough 56. All right, how about that? Free throws matter. Would have won by 20 plus. Would have liked to see Cuff a little bit more. He's very active. The free throw, like I was saying in the beginning, free throws. If we hit more of those, this game isn't. Maybe we don't. Maybe we only go down one spot in the net. We hit more free throws. Could have saved us a spot there.
Oh, if our differential would have been up to 10?
Yeah. I mean, if you hit like 5 more free throws and we're at 11 and winning by over 10, clearing the double digits, and then you only move down one spot.
Well, and the other thing that doesn't make any sense on that too is, and I think I read it, I don't know if it was in a comment or somewhere, but I mean, Georgia Tech moved up and took away one of our quad 3 losses. So, I mean, currently right now, we only have one loss between quad 3 and quad 4. It was 2 before yesterday. So.
Oh, who moved up?
Georgia Tech.
Oh, okay, my bad. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, we even got, a switch got rid of a quad 3 loss and won the game on the road, and we still moved back 2 spots. So riddle me that.
Interesting. I don't know. It's too much going on there. I think you just broke the algorithm when you add in all of the other movement from other teams and changing the quad records on stuff.
It just doesn't make it. Like I said, realistically, when you and I'll keep bringing it up, and I've kept bringing it up since every single game, since basically North Carolina. We've been tracking. Going into that North Carolina game 6 games ago, we were 91st in the net.
Yeah,
we were 91st.
We've
in the
moved
net,
up 9
we are
spots.
5, and we are 5 and 6, and we've moved up. Where are we? 84, 7 spots.
No, 82. We were 84 before we won on the road yesterday. Now we're 82. No, I'm sorry. You're right. We were 82. We went to 84.
We're 82. We went to 84. So it's like we're at 5 of the last 6. 6 out of the last 8. And like I said, from those last 6 games, we've moved up from 91 to 84. And we've won 4 straight games. So it just is. And to even make it even a little bit different, I think when we lost to Georgia Tech, I think we jumped up to 87. Right? So realistically, you can say, okay, we were 87 in the net after our loss at Georgia Tech. So we've won 4 straight games, and we've gone from 87 to 84. Just make it make sense.
Up 3 spots. 4 wins in a row.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't.
And again, I mean, 2 of them were on the road, 1 to an NC State team that was a quad 1 win until we lost.
No,
and
it was a quad 1 win until
we won.
They lost. Yeah.
Until they lost.
Yeah.
And then we beat a pretty decent Virginia Tech team that was still being talked about as far as tournament-wise at home. So it just, again, doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. It doesn't make any sense. Well, look, let's change gears, Joe. Syracuse with they have all of the control right now going into face Clemson this Tuesday. What time did I say that game was? 7 o'clock, I think.
Yeah, it's 7 on ESPN 2.
Yeah. All-time series right now is 9-6, and Clemson holds that. And as we all remember, the last game there, according to orangehoops.org, 77-68, and Starling and Bell both with 16 points. And, the final score was a little bit... That was one of those games where we kind of... we slipped down the stretch and failed to just close it out. But like I said at the Open, and no one wants to play a Clemson team that's coming off of a loss, especially a loss to Notre Dame, and they're going to be at home. It's going to be senior night. I just I don't have a huge I don't have a great feeling about that, but we'll see what happens. Maybe they're just losing it. Maybe they're just slipping. What are the chances? I don't know. But
no. I mean, this game was a 60-60 game with 3.5 minutes to go. Tie ball game last time we played.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, that's what I thought. It was very close. It was back and forth. It was very close the whole game in the Dome, and then they just pulled away at the end. It was just kind of a slow roll. But Joe Girard, that was the game where he pretty much closed it out on the free throw line for the most part, and he hit a 3. I mean, he
was 4 or 5 from the 3. So
yeah. So I don't know what it looks like this week when we head there, but I don't have a great feeling about it. And I'm not saying that I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer or anything, but I just don't have a great feeling about it. I think Syracuse is going to have to will this one. This would be the biggest road win if they were able to pull it off. Be the biggest road win that they've had obviously all season, and I think it would send a huge message. Obviously, if Syracuse could pull that off, and you'd be almost guaranteed to double bye, and we'd see what happens in the tournament. So, with still some games to be played in the ACC. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah. I mean, it's this past game. I mean, really, what it was it was all shots, right? We forced them into 21 turnovers. We only had 8, but we shot the ball like crap. And they didn't, right? They shot, 43% from the 3-point line, almost 61% from the two-point line, while we shot 40% from the 2-point and 30% from the 3-point. So, their shooting percentage and them out-rebounding us by 17 is what allowed them to kind of overcome the 21 turnovers and the way that we turned them over in that game. And near the end, they just took care of the ball and hit shots, like you said. Joe Girard kind of, finished it off. Kind of a lot of the same stuff. I think that, again, we've been trending in the right direction, and I think that we've been playing better since we played them the first time. Clemson was only that second game after we lost Benny. It was after that Louisville home game. So, and really since that loss, we've only lost one game since then. But yeah, PJ Hall, his senior night, Joe Girard being a senior, it's going to be interesting to see how he gets, treated in that situation, in that environment, after just being there for 1 year and doing it last year anyway at Syracuse. But we just got to keep playing like we've been playing, and we know what this means. We know these guys, they listen, they know that we're still on the bubble and that they weren't talking about us. I will say that, and if you go to the ESPN Bubble Watch, we finally got put in to Lunardi as work left to do from the ACC. So we're at least have a seat at the table at this point, or at least a seat in the waiting room, waiting to see if we're going to get a seat at the table, right? But yeah, that's really it. When they have Shefflin and Hall out there, they're big guys, and that's why we got out rebounded last time. But I think that we've done a lot of things since losing Benny and getting a little bit better at that. And it wouldn't surprise me if we still did get out rebounded. But I guess the big question is well, not even the question. We need to shoot better. If we shoot the percentages that we've been shooting, and then we just come close, 75% of the turnovers that we, forced last time. We only forced, 14, 15 this time, but we shoot a better percentage. Then I think we got this game. But again, Clemson is definitely tough, and they just lost to a Notre Dame team, so they're going to be chomping at the bit. And I guess the other question would be, are they going to overlook Senior Day, knowing how big of a game the next Saturday is against Wake Forest as well? Because what are they looking at? If you're looking at teams that are closer to being in the tournament, then that Syracuse that Wake Forest Clemson game is more important. But if you're looking at the standing to get a two round bye in the ACC tournament, then maybe that Syracuse team. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting, but all I know is, from what I've seen from this team, is that we're not going to go down without a fight. That's for sure.
Yeah. And this team, that's what they've done all year, is fight. They at least have that, for the most part. But yeah, we're going to have to hit shots, obviously. Contain Joe Girard. And I feel like we kind of got away with, Hall didn't have a great game against us either, did he? If I remember right, it was really who I was worried about for the most part was PJ Hall. So he only had 15, and I think that's it's well below his average for the year. So
he only had 15 and 10.
Yeah, 10 kills. Yeah. Well, he's been
3 blocks.
He
had a lot of turnovers.
Yeah, he's doing that and more, pretty much every game. So, look, I remain optimistic about it. Syracuse knows what they got to do. I think that's definitely something that can motivate you if you're going to be able to control your own destiny. If you go out there and you win, that's advantage Syracuse. And like you said, Clemson's still got another game, and it's Senior Day, and it's not a slouch coming in on Senior Day either. I don't think Syracuse. I don't think you can look past Syracuse if you're anybody in the ACC. So,
no.
With it being Senior Day, a lot of times, it does take away a little bit from the focus on the game. I think a little bit, but
Right.
Being that it's Syracuse, they'll be prepared and they'll be ready. It's going to be a battle. I hope to keep it close and have a shot at the end and not flounder the last 3 minutes of the game. Some mistakes were made in the last 3 minutes of that game on clock management and fouling too early and things like that too. It was a sloppy ending for Syracuse last game. If it was if they managed that ending a little bit better, who knows what would have happened. They just wasn't managed well, and they were gassed. If I remember right, they were just whooped at that game. So
yeah, I mean, and I think too, like you said, it's mismanagement and it's missing shots. We shot 13 more shots than Clemson did last time. And we just missed a lot of them, and which is why the rebounding disparity was 17. So I just think that we need to shoot a better percentage, and obviously worry about some guys, don't let Joe get open, stuff like that, even though he's going to get his shots. But I just think athletically wise and on defense wise, I think we overwhelmed them a little bit because I think we are a more athletic team. I think that we can, we can cause turnovers like we did the first time. And I think that sometimes when you just have that type of athletic mismatch, then sometimes that's just hard to overcome. So I do think that Clemson is going to turn the ball over, maybe not 21 times, but they're going to turn the ball over enough for us to win this game. It's just what are we going to do with keeping them off the boards, and what are we going to do with scoring ourselves is really, really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and, Joe's been known to have an off day. He hasn't had many off days this year, so maybe we can...
Oh, Gerard?
Yeah. I'm talking about you. You have off days all the time. It's okay.
All the time, yes.
So, anyways.
I think that he has older, more experienced players around him, and I think that, the team with Clemson, having a guy like P.J. Hall, who they're talking about, could be the conference player of the year, or at least is in the talking of it. I think that offense is just more set up for him to be successful versus the offense that Joe Girard has been in the past few years and having to be relied upon so heavily to do a lot of the stuff.
Yeah,
so,
to be bringing the ball up and playing, he's
seems less forced this year.
Yeah, he's way more comfortable.
He's hit him.
Yeah, way more comfortable out there with Clemson in that group than he was with us. Which is hard to say, but it's true. So, look, that is going to do it for us. Appreciate everybody for tuning in, and we'll be back here Wednesday, God willing, and we'll talk about it, win or loss, and see where we stack up in the tournament and go from there. So, go Cuse, see what happens Tuesday. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Peace.